It's very nice to be here, of course, and I have to confess something. In the beginning, yesterday I had the pleasure of having a dinner in the house of my dear friend, Mr. Frank Poole, who sits there. And during this, he frightened me. He told me a story about he once went to Norway to visit somebody, and there he met a bishop. And this bishop, he should make a speech for some English-speaking people, and then Frank Poole had corrected the grammar. So I said, don't correct my grammar, but try to be on my side when I make some terrible mistakes in language. I'm going to talk about myself and a piece of music I made. It's called Solitare. This piece of music and is electronic. Not electronic. It is alone. It is consists of electronic material and material recorded from the daily life. For instance, speaking and other kinds of sound. As you know, the development of in this century, we can say, has gone very much into the field of working with sound. Composing with melodic and harmonic and rhythmic usual matter has been a bit pushed aside by a lot of composers, and work with the sound, the changing of color in sound has been very much in the forefront. So if you look back and see until, for instance, a very strange year, 1909, it was some fantastic pieces being written that year and in the year around. And for instance, the string quartet pieces by Anton Webern, this comes from 1909, and the fabulous piece by Arnold Schoenberg, the 5 orchestral pieces, Opus 16, started written in 1909. And which you probably know, this third moment, it's in English title, I should think, Summer Morning by a Lake. And it has an undertitle, it's called Colors. And there is only very few things going on in that piece. Very few changing of colors, very strange, very fascinating mixing of sound. And he goes on to another quite extraordinary man, Busoni. His book, Sketches of New Aesthetic of Music, published in 1907, he mentioned this matter, that the radio tube, this thing here, discovery of this perhaps would have a possibility of altering the development of music. And right it was, because in the before the war, we got a lot of electronic instruments. For instance, the Hammond organ, the Nobleness piano, which has vanished from the arena. I'm sorry to say, I heard it once, and it's the most fascinating instrument. And a lot of other, on the Martineau, and a lot of other instruments was developed. And after the war, we had this starting of the working with tape music, because then the technique with this matter made it possible to work with the sound, to cut the sound to pieces, to put it together in different ways, to turn it around, to make a higher speed and lower speed, and all this alteration quite primitive though, but really fascinating in the beginning of 40, 46, 47, 48 in Paris by the concrete group. But before that, suddenly I remember a piece by Respighi, the Pines of Rome. There he used a gramophone record for recording of a nightingale singing. And that is something in the field of using electronic matter in orchestral music. I did the same, as you know, a few days ago in the piece play here. The Paris group started to work with electronic sound, sound treated electronically. They made recordings, as you know, some pieces from piano sound and from daylight, from trains, from all things of kind of sound. And they was working on this, and I think they made it well. It is quite. I'm very moved when I hear some of those early pieces from these days. Very moved. Another development of this going onto these possibilities hidden in the radio tube, the real electronic wave, was made by the Germans in Köln in 1950. They started, and in the beginning, these two schools, the concrete school from Paris, the purely electronic school from Köln, Cologne, they was very much apart, and almost they had a kind of enemy relation, you know. Said shit with this, and this is bad, and but know that they, as all kind of enemies, I hope in the end will do. They're getting nearer and nearer, and try to understand each other. It's very serious to get into such condition that you can understand your enemy. And then the German group started to use concrete elements like Stockhausen did in his Scandinavian Dream, and the other way around, the Paris group started to use electronic elements. So they're mixing, and now they are working almost on the same thing, mixing big soups, you know, in sound. The development's gone on, you know, to use the electronic equipment, electronic sound taped in the orchestra, or to alteration of the actual playing. For instance, a piece by Stockhausen is microphone pieces 1 and 2, you know, where they alter the sound during the playing, and so on. This piece I composed is called Solitare, and are worked out in the middle of this boiling soup. I mean, a mixture between concrete sound from human voices, and metal and so on, and electronic sound made from generators. The piece is composed for a special occasion. It was the opening of a new art center in Oslo, outside Oslo, and there they have a lot of electronic equipment for playback. They have, for instance, a 4-track machine. It's possible to spread sound around the whole, you know, this wandering of the sound. Like, it's not a very new thing. They made this thing already in Venezia in 1500. I mean, the moving the answer response from the different kinds of places in the room. This piece is made then from different concrete sound. A very concrete sound is my voice. Just now try to bore you. My voice now is quite concrete, and so is the voice here reading a poem by Baudelaire from Fleur de Mal. Just a few lines. It talks about the meeting between the elements of, for instance, metal, glass, and light and darkness and so on. So we can listen to the beginning of this. What is the basic material which are going to guide the whole musical process as it goes on is from this poem. Here you can hear it, then read.
Quand il jette en dansant son bruit vif et moqueur, ce monde rayonnant de métal et de pierre me ravit en extase, et j'aime avec fureur que les choses sous le son se mêlent à la lumière.
In this world where somebody is madly in love with the places where things meet, the metals and the light and meet, there is possibilities to take out some elements from this reading. First of all, to create what I could call a kind of a dynamic shape of these words. At the same time, go away from the words, because you have the words from left to right. You can read, you open the book, you read. But I'm not, my piece is not a literary piece, it's a piece of sound. So I took these voices and I made the same as you do in the photographic process, you know. You take the film, you expose 1, 2, or 3, or 4, or 5, 6 different on each other, you know, and in different kind of depths. For instance, the first word is there, and the other word is there, and the next one is almost unclear, very far away. So then you get rid of the process of reading of the literature, but you get back some rhythmical aspects of this poem.
Quand et dans village sens et en mon cœur dans cœur se sondra mon rédit bruit rayonnant et vif de tas et métal mon cœur se de air mon pierre rayonnant ma vie de métal dans
These words we heard from the poem, taken, cut out from the poem, is has no used as a basic material. So I could call it a way of guiding. This is guiding the whole musical, the most of the musical process in this piece. But this alteration is not very much, because you know you can hear it is a voice. Somebody is reading something, which perhaps is French. It is French, yes. And perhaps if somebody is specialized on that, you can pick up and say it is this poem, those half-forbidden poems, and say that this is a still literature. Go on with the process of decomposing the literature. We could say go on to the process of making the sound, pure sound out of it, and still keep the rhythm of the speaking intensity, the intensity of the speaking voice. So I ran this here through as a ring modulator, and this is rather complicated equipment. How can I explain? Yes, if you have, it is the best to say, if you have this third, and you say you transpose use a ring modulator, you can transpose this, for instance, 1 octave higher, or 2, or 3. I mean, go on. It is a possibilities of changing the pitch or the spectrum, you know, of the sound, just and to keep the characteristic of the sound still. And this has a lot of sound which is coming out, and it is rather dirty when it comes out. Before you must send this through a filter because it has so many unharmonics, you know, which sounds rather dirty to the ear. So you have to run this through a filter, and you can get out some quite fascinating sound. I will show you 1 or 2. The poem read, and then this lady transposed very deep down where there is no possibilities to recognize the voice, but you hear it is a voice, and it has become a sound, and it has a spoken characteristic. The reading.
Quand et dans village sens et en mon cœur dans cœur se sondra mon rédit bruit rayonnant et vif de tas et métal mon cœur se de air mon pierre rayonnant Métal
This technique is very well known by Western Union, the telegraph company in the United States. Is it? Yes. The Western Union, because they use this principle when they are transmitting a lot of telephone calls on the same line. You know, if you call New York or on the line. I don't know if it is they do it anymore, but on the line they can transpose. They have different telephone calls going on the same line at the same time. So they Los Angeles here, they transpose this up, for instance, there, and goes on the same line, and they take it down in New York, and they get the speech back, the talking back to its original shape. So let us say that we now transpose this 100 steps down. What's happened if we turn the process around and say we transpose this 100 steps upwards? Then we get this result.
Quand et dans j'ai son et en ma mère dans ce sera
This beautiful voice said here in the call here in the end for one word, metal, metal. And beside this voice, the sound of metal is quite necessary or leading principle in the composition, opening of sound from metal. And what is more to me more metal than the triangle? The sound from a triangle has everything of metal to me. And I then recorded some very tight sound from metal, a lot of playing on triangle, and had this on a very high. It's on a very high level pitch, and then run this through this ring modulator, but continuous, not deep, high, or deep, but from top and down. In a very long modulation from the absolutely upper high to the so far down as it was possible to go before the sound went dirty in a ring modulator. So we can hear the sound from metal picked up and transposed from top and down continuously. When it goes down, it's altered. Then it starts to become something else, to some stony sound, I think, or something like that. We heard this beautiful triangle playing transposed down. There is another quite fascinating possibilities to work with, and I must say this piece is. Produced in the studio of experimental music in the Polish radio in Warsaw. So there they have beautiful ring modulators, as you clearly could hear, and they have some very fascinating facilities there. And one of them I use quite a lot. Perhaps, I don't know, perhaps too much, I don't know, but you must decide when you hear the piece. and that is a what do you call amplitude gate. Gate is a good word. This is a door, open, lock, like this. Possibilities. Then the voice, when I talk to you, you know, if you look to the voice, it's like this. Like this, you know, different dynamics in the same word, even in the same sound, it's different dynamics. And this amplitude gate has the possibility that it can be treated by for instance, by the voice. And behind, if this, I must demonstrate now, be pedagogic now. Here is the gates, the amplitude, and this process is made by the voice, the intensity of the voice. And behind these gates, there is the metal sound. So every time we can we decide that all these here should open the gate. The other note. What's happened there? Yeah. Then the gate will get some commandos from the voice speaking, and it will make this, you know, all the time this. And all the time when it's open, it will pop out some metal sound and it will close again. And we can then use the same metal as we use transposed downwards, and let the metal stay there behind this gate, and we can open and shut the gate with the voice, and then we get this result.
Quand
The voice.
et dans viageant et en mer dans quel se posera mon rêve.
This is quite a raw example, you know, because it is made for purpose like this. But it is possible to take away even just only, for instance, there. So this will make, and then you get more and more cell. Now and then you can use the words and say the next minute, and whack comes the sound, and it goes back again. And all this is guided from the voice, or whatever you like to put in. You can change it. Let the metal sound guide the gates, and let the voice be there, and you get something quite else, of course. But I put in this voice to show to you how it works when the voice is there, in audible. But if it's not audible, the voice, we take away the voice and just put on what the result from the opening of the gates to get this. The sound is metal. The rhythmic aspect is the voice. It is a wide destruction of the ideas from the beginning of this. I must wind with. is another possibility, which, I mean, it's enormous possibilities at first, but I will show you a few of them. And that is what happened. I hope you recognized as well that it was a play between those two channels. And that is, I mean, then it's already now, I will say, this is a musical process going on. Just now. If, or here, it's not if because it's here, alright, we use the voice to stay there behind these gates of amplitude gates, and we use the voice to guide the voice. I mean, then it's going on, developing this destruction of the basic material, the poem by Baudelaire. So then we are quite wide then in the field of sound destruction of the basic material. So we play. I play a little bit of this from where the voice is guiding the voice. The written of the poem read. We are now building the composition. As you heard in the example before, was played between the channels. Let's see how to build up a kind of musical structure from this idea. Voice guiding voice left, voice guiding voice right. Process of the voice guiding the voice through these gates, and left for you, left, yes, left, yes, left, and right. And now put these two display pieces together, and then it is a musical structure on a way to be called composition. This was a rather soft, undramatic part of the composition, and what's happened? If we know, I must think. Well, what have I done here in this piece? Yes, it is a voice. It is those gates open, shut. shut, open, open, shut, each time. It is the transposition of the voice to very high, and it is the transposition of the voice very low. At the same time, left or right. Left or right, I don't remember, but we'll see what's will come out from this. And the other way. From the this sound you heard, which reminds very much of the sound from the triangle. This was it opening and shutting, opening and make the door shut in this very high transposed sound of the voice. So if we now transpose, also take in the lower register of the transposed sound from the voice, we get the result. Left, right together, a high transposition of the voice, cut to pieces by this door. Low transposition of the voice, cut to pieces by this door, into a musical structure, I think, or hope. All this activity we heard, high sound, very, very high pitch, very deep. All this came then from the Ausgangsmaterial, the basic material, which was the read poem by Baudelaire. I can say just a few words about the form or the lack of form of this piece. Electronic, the soup, yes, big soup, electronic sound, different kind of sound in natura from the day life, from the human beings, as metal talking, and what else? Yes, wood sound from wood blocks. But that is almost not, that's too so little. So if you can see this here, I will tell you something about what's going on in this piece, because we then play the piece. This means electronic. That means these are mainly dominated by electronic sound. And it is only this part is 2 minutes and 40 seconds of slow changing of color. With some very few metal sound in it. This means the voices, and that means the metal. So this part, the second part, is dominated by voices. I mean, the reading, you hear clear the words and all this, and we hear the sound of metal, this transposed metal. You will surely you will recognize the material back. And this middle section, which perhaps is long, that's too long, I don't know, is from metal and electronic. That means from steel and from the sound of some sound taken from the vibraphone, and pure tones from the sinus tones from the generator. And this part was just like here, it's dominated by voice, but followed by mellow and electronics, and here we are back in the way in electronics. The red side of there is, I don't know really. It is a kind of intensity map to say how the intensity goes. The piece is 12 minutes. The first last 2 minutes and 40 is now the same. So we should be around 5.5 minutes, 6 minutes in this piece until 9:30, something like that. This goes on for 1.5 minutes, and this goes on for 2 minutes. All to say. We can play this piece now, and then you can make some attacks or other kind of entertainment after the performance. This is then a reduced version, so to say, a so-called, not transcription, but it is made for 2 tracks then, only left and right. This original sound is put on the original composition is made on a 4-track tape, so it comes from there and there and there and there, so from 4 different places in the hall. We play then this piece called Solitare, and you can make some possibilities for attacks after the piece. We can talk together. So, if you want to ask anything or this, ask me anything, attack or other kind of entertainments, I will be very glad. Yes?
Exactly, what is a ring modulator? How is it used?
Well, ring modulator is it is rather complicated equipment, but it is equipment which makes possible to transpose any sound up or down. I mean, you can get, if you have an octave, you can take this octave, place it 1 octave higher. I mean, and you use a frequency, carry frequency, I think it's called, is it? Yes?
You have your material and the other
yes?
carrier frequency, and
yes?
you reduce some difference between and
yes.
And filter out whichever one you want.
It's used daily by the Western Union cellular equipment. I'm quite sure to send a lot of calls in the same time, because then you can transpose all this up and you can take it down on the other end. And what is interesting for electronic work with electronic thing, it's because you transpose it up, but you don't take it back. I mean, you just go away from the original sound.
You can also feed instruments.
Yes, you can feed anything into the. But what is if you, for instance, in singing or choral singing, it comes out something fantastic dirty in the other end, because it is the sound so complicated, and each pitch in this is transposed then 1 octave higher, for instance, and then it goes a lot of unharmonic combinations up there, a lot of them, and that makes it very dirty. So then we have to use a filter, like you use in the microscope, in order to search for a sound, where to find it, and you have to take all the other sounds away, which are not of any use.
There is a demonstration record on our key.
Yes, it is. Or yes, it is. It's very, very, it's very good. Yes, it is. Yes, very good. It's a record.
This equipment is hard to obtain. It's hard to obtain.
This
hard to find.
no, it's very easy. You can make it yourself. The rainbow lid is very easy to make. It's very cheap as well, but you need a lot of equipment to get into good results. I mean, you need filters and so on.
In the sense that this makes use of a poem, would you consider it programming?
Yes, I'm nothing against programs.
Well, I mean, what's the significance of the title?
It's Solitare, yes, there's a lot of different meanings of that word Solitare. It means, first of all, it means something that says it all. And the other is, Solitare is a description of a kind of diamond jewelry. I mean, and this poem called the Jewels. And he talks about the light in the jewel, you know, is jewelry, and that he's fascinated about this world where everything moves, you know, light and metal and voices and all. He talks about this. I'm mad about this word. He says, Nobleness, and so he, so I used it, and the piece was performed as a light show, you know. We also produced a light show at the same time with films and stills and everything at the same time. So it was a total show in a way.
Are your compositions available on records?
Yes, some of them are, yes.
What label?
It's on Philips. Yes, it's two out now, and it's coming another from I think it is the Swedish section of His Master's Voice, and it will be sent also released to the international market, you know.
Are your gain controls for the very slow dynamic change, are they motorized?
Pardon?
The gain control, like that 2.5 minute volume,
Yes.
is that just a nicely counterbalanced control, or are they motor driven?
No, it is a lot of elements composed over each other, you know. They're double exposed. So have, for instance, five octaves, let's say so, and you make an attack on this octave, and you make a diminuendo, and the same octaves come from absolutely nothing and goes, and on this border or the crossing, the field of crossing here, it's fascinating, I think, because even if it is the same sound, it starts to get a kind of interference, which are not interferences of the tones, but interferences of the intensity or the feeling or something like this. Suddenly the tone is there. That's totally changed.
But to actually physically turn any control, are any of them motor driven for smoothness?
No. Because all is made as handmade, you know. Because this is so many recordings over each other that if you want to have, for instance, 14, 15 different dynamic change, you must make this 14, 15 times. Yeah.
So this was originally 4-channel?
Yes, it's 4-channel, yes.
How many, would you say, lines there would be for each channel?
You mean how many operations?
Well, yeah.
For each, I don't know. But
5 or 6 lines, maybe?
Oh, more, yes. Because you get all the details, little spots you have to have on the right place, and it's a lot of work.
I wonder what kind of structural intentions started with the first piece, why you chose the line from Baudelaire. Perhaps did you sense its rhythmic possibility, or what kind of thing did you find that you want to use from the start? How much do you anticipate what you will get when you start with a basic piece of material like that?
But first of all, I was very attracted by the point itself. One. And the other is to have it from read, like to listen to it, which are so beautiful, I think. And then to construct some rhythmic rhythmic sensations, for instance, you can use anything. You can use anything. I mean, there's only how you place it. You make this word very intense, this less intense, intensive. So you get a rhythmic. You search for. I was searching for a rhythmic structure, and I find a lot of these words from this voice very suitable for the purpose.
Very staggered.
Yeah.
Very non-metric. But
Yes, that's right. Yes. But even if they are non-metric. When you hear this repeated, and in all kind, high up, low, very deep down, in the middle, transpose, transform, decompose, and all this, suddenly it gets into your blood, you know, like a beat in a way. Turns out like a bit histamine.
How do you decide once you get all the, once you've taken all these sounds and you've gotten them together, how you're going to put them together, how you're going to mix them, or like, for example, now at the beginning when you have the kind of the drone thing, and then you actually had almost notes like the new C, F, G.
Yes.
Now, do you take that note for note, and well, maybe I shouldn't say note, but sound for sound, or was that a series of things that just happened next?
No, it's absolutely.
How do you decide how you're going to put it together, or how do you decide?
Well, it's the same as writing a book of a piano.
Well, do you use notes at all?
In this?
I mean, actual. Do you ever write down or think of pieces?
Oh yes. But it's really, it is absolutely planned. Everything. It's nothing happening. It's by accident.
Well, was the little, like for example, the little C, F, G, was that?
Was
pitch
it
per-
CFG?
Well, or
Yes,
C
it was.
sharp, F
I
sharp.
don't know.
Well, was that done note pitch for pitch, or was that a series of things that was? Did you put each one of those in there?
I don't understand. You mean those very small singles?
So at the beginning, the drum.
Yes, the drum.
Why were those pitches chosen in advance?
Yes. It was chosen in advance too. I mean, I was not thinking of C and what we have heard. I already forgot what it was. We knew that because it is counted out to see what frequency this head drum had. But well, it is. I don't remember this one.
Well, perhaps he's asking on the electronic portion,
Yes.
where you have your sine signals.
Yes.
These signals have a frequency or a pitch.
Yes.
So these are chosen.
They're chosen, yes.
So
And they are chosen because they produce a certain amount of new sounds through the ring modulator. Because you can tell the technician that you want this sound. It should be like this, has this shape, this dynamic, and he says, all right. I figure it out, and you will find out and come back to get this. You must produce this tune from the beginning, and then you will get this one.
yeah, at the very beginning of the first part, there was one sound or tone that seemed to be varying in timbre or quality. Sort of.
Yes,
How do you do that?
This was the sound from my vibraphone picked up, yes, and you could hear it was growing in a way, and that is when you send this to this ring modulator, this just would do that the work itself.
So it's
It's
recorded.
build up this big shapes of metal sound.
So that might have been recorded very high and played back at a lower.
Yes, it was. Yes.
You have it slow move.
All this kind of tricks to do.
I have two questions that I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Do you have control of each entrance of the different sounds? And when you did enter each certain sounds and you entered them, were you thinking of a certain meter? Certain meter, like tempo, of like 3/4 or 4/4?
No.
It seemed like myself sense a certain meter.
Yeah, that's good because I never thought of it, but I like that the music is so open that everybody can put anything into it. But it's not numbing, you know. It's just control feeling. I mean,
When you wanted to put
this feeling is in this tempo should go from left to right and stop there. Maybe something else.
Hey, Spudgy!
how many hours did you put into it?
6 weeks and more.
When you originally laid the structure of the piece out, I imagine the notations of like graph
so new, so that you have to do a lot of mistakes in the beginning. I mean, then it comes develop slowly, and you have, because the possibilities are so many, you have to choose. You say I will only do this, otherwise you get mad. You know, because you get to swim in this beautiful stuff.
When you used the gate,
Yes.
did you know at what the amplitude that you were going to use to fill out that, or did you just?
Yes, it was possible to control because you could control, and I knew only that I would have this control by the speaking, you know. So then we were searching in the where to open and shut the gates.
You didn't predetermine actually where.
No, I said that we want to use this amplitude gates, yes. But I don't know where to put, so let's have some speaking and let's listen. Until a certain point, we have to stop and find back recording.
Not finished.
Have you ever been involved in painting or sculpture?
No, not like no.
Yeah, you have in the outfit.
Yes, that's right. It's the better stuff. It's the better stuff from back home, you know. He tells something about the sculpture. That's right. Not in the sculpture itself, but I made a so to say a music machine is producing music, and this process of producing music is not guided from the voices here, but is guided from the information through daylight. There is a big sculpture of steel is built outside Oslo, or Sarpsborg near Oslo, in a cultural center for blind people. And it is huge, not very big, this sculpture, and around it is 24 loudspeakers. And 24 loudspeakers in this sculpture, from size that to that. You know? And this is working on a program. I have made a sound program, and I have composed the machine that is composing the music. So this program is there all the time, can be start and stop. The sound program goes on. The machine mixes the two programs together or separate them. The machine gives order to the filter that the filter should pick up the signal from one or two or from both. It is going to a kind of machine that make a distribution of the sculpture in the order of 1, 24, 7, 19, 11, you know, all right. A lot of possibilities already there. And it is also changed by ring modulation, as here. And all this process is controlled by information coming to daylight. That is, a lot of photoelectric equipment picks up this quality and it's changing in the daylight. And when the light changes, it goes different kind of commandos down to the machine, and the machine changes the music. So to say, a bright, beautiful day, sunshine, suddenly comes a big sky, you know, cloud, a very cloudy day comes from the horizon ahead, change the intensity of the light, or pass the sun like a filter, the music will change. And
It's now 24 hours.
No, was one of the biggest problems with this machine, because then we had to decide that to listen to something in 24 hours of the day is horrible. So we have built in a random time machine. So this random time machine are getting some information both from the daylight and from the dynamics of the tapes of the programmed sound. And these two are working together, and at a certain moment they will meet and decide that this sculpture is not going to play for half an hour. But we never know when this comes. So it's really a big play. And this machine is now just finished. We had a kind of a general rehearsal in October. And had a fascinating day, because we was there, started in the afternoon. It was getting darker, and the music was getting slower. And then the moon rise, you know. Fantastic things happened to the music. So I have, in a way, been involved in sculpture.
Is it on 2 tapes?
The 2 tapes, yes, are endless. There's a loop for 20 minutes. 2 times 20 minutes program in the loop machine, you know. It goes on for the whole. So when it stops and goes all for itself, making music.
What kind of programming did you have on it? Electronic?
Yes, electronic sound. Only electronic sound.
Where did you say that was?
Outside Oslo. Or it's if I say Salzburg, it would mean very much to I think
50 miles south of Oslo.
50 miles. Yes. And there you can go and listen how the sculpture is formed, because the music comes from different, or the sound comes from different parts of the sculpture. And the large part, it is around 20 meters from left to right. How much centimeters? Grensa, you must have seen. How much? 25, yeah, from left to right. And if you get a sound there and a sound there, you measure, you know, the sculpture through air.
This is 4 channels.
This is no, it is 12 channels going through. It is divided in 2. Each has base and one discount in a way. The tape is only full track. Yes, on a special machine constructed for this, so it can goes for not forever. Nothing goes forever, but quite long. So. Yes.
How do you go about bringing about stereo quality? Things are happening on one track, things are happening on another track. Do you compose each track separately and put them together?
No, I make a kind of a concept of what's going on the different tracks, and then compose, divide. I mean, just like usual composition. In the orchestra, I also think amount of the space for the sound to walk.
Yeah, you say when a soundtrack and its time element thing there get together, it says like the machine will shut off for a half hour or so. What's the longest time limit that the machine has to shut off?
This is too easy to alter. I mean, it's only to use a screwdriver and you can alter it. You can change from, I think, half an hour is the most until 10 seconds.
So it wouldn't shut off for like 3 or 4 hours or something?
No. It is yes, because then it becomes this program which this falling of daylight, then it stops for a very long time. When you get under a certain amount of light. But it's possible to build in. I mean, to have the machine to shut up in 24 hours. Huh?
Do you have the console with you here?
The what?
The console you were talking about.
Which is what?
When you talked about a console from this store where you sound
No. Well, I think that everybody is leaving. I think.